and gentlemen, welcome to a brand new show.
Xavier used to be my boyfriend, then my fiance, and then my husband, so he's my ex-boyfriend.
We decided that we needed to spice this up. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to it. It is the brand new show. Well, it's not new anymore. We started it last year, December, but it is
infancy.
Yeah, well, it's still in its infancy. Yep, and of course, it is living with my ex-girlfriend, which is now my wife, ladies and gentlemen, Mrs. Anka Hendricks.
Hey! Welcome to the show today, guys. We're so excited to dive into today's topic, and it's been a long wait from last week. I think last week we had such a great show. It was funny and hilarious. It had all the elements of our guest that was here last week. And we hope to be insightful today and a bit funny too.
Let's get it. So, guys, there's a tough topic we want to cover today, actually, and it leads into different topics and leads into different things, right? But before we get into it, it is February, which means it's Valentine's month, which means we are in that vibe where people are showing love, buying flowers, buying
Am
roses.
I your Valentine this year?
You are my Valentine, even though I don't necessarily subscribe to Valentine's Day at all, which is always a contentious issue with me and Anka. She's like, I want this, I want that. I'm like, I don't do Valentine's.
You don't have to do Valentine's to buy your wife chocolates.
Exactly, and that's my whole point.
Yeah, but why don't...
So I don't want to go into it just because the whole world is doing it.
You don't need to do it. Well, if you tell yourself, I'm not doing it because of this, but I'm doing it because I love my wife, it changes the whole dynamic of
but then
situation.
I can do it on a different day.
No,
Because if I'm doing it on that day, then I'm doing it because everyone else is doing it.
No. Why would you exclude that day? I think that you can just buy me chocolates that day and every other day.
I'll do it every other day.
And that day. What makes that day different? If you say you don't subscribe and it's not such a big thing to you, then it shouldn't be a big thing to buy me chocolates. I'm not asking for roses.
What makes that day different is that the whole world's doing it on that day.
So,
for whichever reason they came up with to do it.
That's the whole concept of I'm not going to do it because everybody else is doing it.
Yeah.
Or I'm going to do it because everyone else is doing it. Just do you, boo, and buy me the chocolates. Make your wife happy.
Do you, boo, excited chocolates, Scorpio?
Yo.
Don't have to go so on for chocolate.
You know. I'm not one for flowers. Those people who know me, flowers are beautiful, don't get me wrong.
I buy you roses, you put it in that thing, and then like 2 days later...
I feel like flowers are for graves. So, and don't get me wrong, I do like flowers, but
also,
I don't...
like you don't like flowers.
No, I do. I do like... I just don't love flowers. I feel like I could eat the chocolate. I could appreciate the chocolate. And those who know me knows that I eat more chocolate than the kids. So, I've got a thing for chocolate. So I feel like you could just buy into that. Like, just
So
your
here's
wife
the
is
thing.
happy.
Here's the thing, right? Yeah, I'll buy you chocolate. But my problem is that I buy you chocolate and I buy myself chocolate. And then you eat my chocolate.
Yeah, but this is, you see, let's clarify for our viewers out there. Guys,
that's my problem.
It shouldn't be a problem to you. This is what you signed up for in marriage. And this is a language all women speak. What's mine is mine.
What's yours is also mine.
And what's yours is ours.
Not ours. You leave me nothing.
No, I do leave you something. I leave you the piece.
So you eat yours and mine.
Well, here's what Xavier does, right? So everybody in the house knows I've got a thing for chocolate. So I don't like chocolate in the fridge, but it's not off limits, right? It's there. I don't like it. I wouldn't put my own chocolate in there. But his is there, and he takes like a week to eat the chocolate. And I feel like, why are you feeling sorry for this thing?
So it's mine. Leave it alone. Why is it bothering me?
I'll eat it gradually with him. So as to help him out, because he seems to be struggling to eat this chocolate. So I'll help him out. So by the time he gets there, he still has a piece left, a small piece. But he has a piece.
Yeah, but why is my chocolate bothering you? You know what I'm going to do now?
I feel like this mind...
I'm not going to tell you what I'm going to do because then it's going to spoil my thing. But the conversation we're having today is people feeling lonely still within the marriage, right? And we're going to get into some of the reasons and also some of our personal stories as to how we went about before we decided, okay, right, this is it. For me personally, what happened was, and I've shared this so many times, but for the sake of the conversation, I'll just kind of brush over it quickly. I was in a long-term relationship, right? A serious one for a while. Then that's that high school sweetheart vibes where it's like, you're dating since high school and then into while you guys are studying, and then you kind of think, okay, fine, this is gonna work. We're gonna take this thing serious, and it doesn't end up panning out, right? So because I got into something so serious so early, I was kind of in a space where I became dependent on having someone around me, right? I became dependent on having a person in my space all the time. I became dependent on phoning someone in the morning, phoning someone in the evening. Became
Hi,
dependent
how are
on,
you? I hope you slept nice and
yeah,
sleep
all those
sweet.
elements, and you become dependent because there's a dopamine release of like you see the person's name on your phone, you're like, yo, at least they replied. And you're also in a space in your life where you want validation, you want to feel wanted, you want to feel loved, you want to feel accepted.
Lonely.
Yeah, you want those feelings. And that obviously that kind of relationship provides those kind of feelings, right? Needless to say, that didn't pan out, it didn't really work out. Then immediately after that, I got into something else again, right? And again, serious, long term, for a long time, good person. Up until today, no complaints about the person. They didn't do anything untoward. There was nothing serious that happened as far as cheating or anything like that. But again, when I was in that relationship, I also realized that am I here because I also just needed that person to I just needed a person to be with me. Am I here for the right reasons? Am I here for the reasons of love? Am I here for the reasons of seeing myself building a future with this person? Am I here? And to a large extent, I also kept feeling that I'm wasting this person's time. I also kept feeling that this is such a good person. Do I want to kind of keep this person, like they say, there's an Afrikaans phrase that says, right? Which means you kind of dangling the person along. You're dangling a carrot in front of the person. Come. Do I want to kind of keep this person around for the sake of my comfort, for the sake of there's someone to speak to, for the sake of there's someone to drop a message in the morning, drop a message in the evening, and it's a good person, a nice person, so it's nice to have the person around? Or am I really here for the right reasons? Needless to say, that didn't pan out either. Then I decided, okay, because then I realized there's something wrong here. There was hurt from the first relationship. There was some inconsistencies on my part. There was some gaps and holes in my story that I was unhappy with. There was just things that I wasn't exactly at my full. I wasn't ready to be in a relationship, to put it plainly and clearly, right? I wasn't really in the space to have a relationship. So then I meet Anka. No. Before I meet Anka, then I actively decided, you know what? Before I get into this, before I get into something serious again, I gotta figure out who I am, what I'm doing wrong, where I'm getting this wrong, where the problem lies. At this point, I'm already living on my own. At this point, I already have my own vehicle, and there's that level of independence, right? So it's like, okay, Zakes, right now you are, and that season of my life, I was also doing something. I was doing well in my career, right? So for me to be able to speak to somebody, as far as a lady is concerned, it wasn't difficult for me. It wasn't hard for me. I had a house, I had a car, I had everything that any lady that would see this would be like, okay, this is a decent guy. He's a Christian. He has his own place. He has a car. He has everything. It was easy for me to say, yo, let's try something. Let's go for coffee. Let's just check how this pans out. But I purposely put myself on like a year. I hate this purposely. Like, I'm not going to chat to anyone. I'm not going to respond to anyone. I'm not going to engage in anything. I'm going to stay away from relationships. And the reason I did that is because of the point of today's conversation. I had to first figure me out before I decided to get married to Anka. I had to first figure out my loopholes and my ups and downs and my, nooks and crannies and whatever the issue is before I actually became serious with you. So that's my story, right, in a nutshell. And I want to maybe hand over to you, maybe to share your side of the story, because
my circumstances were different.
Your circumstances were different. I don't know if you, but relating to the message, you played me something with, and which also triggered the whole thought process of the show. From Miles Monroe speaking about when you get into a serious relationship and to marriage, you must be whole by yourself.
By yourself, yeah.
You mustn't come here with a half-hearted thing, and then you half, and you're trying to figure this out, and you just end up being lonely.
Okay. So I think for me, it's different in the sense that, like, obviously my situation was different. I didn't believe in long-term dating. I knew what I wanted before I went into the relationship, and I was like, you know what, I'm not willing to put A, B, C on the table, but this is what I expect from you. What is it that you expect? And if you haven't figured out your life by a certain time, and I'll tell you, even from the start, I told you at the whoever I dated, I said to them, look, you've got a year and a half to figure yourself out, and if this isn't what you want, then I'm out, deuces. And that's exactly what happened with my last relationship, just before I got married to Xavier. And this guy was a good guy. He was a nice guy. Obviously there was a bit of kinks and flaws and whatever, not negating that I had my own, because I was very
Difficult.
I wouldn't say difficult. I would say headstrong. Difficult encapsulates something different. But you obviously think that I was difficult. Anyway, moving along swiftly. And I knew what I wanted. So when I met Xavier, I was busy leaving the relationship that I was in. And, we were busy at the end, at the bottom end of the relationship, where it's like, look, this isn't what I want, or this isn't, what I envisioned for myself. And you clearly don't have a plan for yourself going forward in terms of our relationship. And I checked out. I think the difference for me was I got into the relationship with you soon after that. There wasn't time for me to think, okay, fine, let me take the time out, let me just, So basically, I had to take that healing process not in our relationship, but you know how women do it. Women sort of get rid of the relationship while they're in it. We build up a callus in the relationship, and if it's not panning out, if you're not changing, then deuces, I'm out, and you leave the guy bleeding to death. Meantime, you've already dealt with it. So by that time, I technically already dealt with it when I met you, and now we're in this relationship. But there was still some stuff I had to deal with. We were already married when I had to say, oh, wait. And we went back to counseling for a couple of things. And I think for both of us, we had to sort of like deal with certain things, because, you get married with the notion of 50-50. I must bring 50%. And then later you realize, whoa, no, you must bring all of who you are. And if all of who I am is needy, and if all of who I am is, in need for something or insecure, it just throws the, like you like to say in Afrikaans, gooi die appelkaart om. It just, messes things up. So for me personally, there were certain things that you also have to remember that I didn't let go of. Certain areas that I didn't let the other person in, because I felt like, you know what, if we're not in it for the long haul, I'm not going to be dealing with things afterwards. So there's a lot of stuff that I didn't really need to deal with, but there were a few stuff that I needed to deal with. The fact
is there like perhaps one thing that is like a light thing that you'd be okay with mentioning, that you think you had to figure out to make the marriage make sense?
To make the marriage make sense.
That you realize, I'm getting this wrong. Not, you do this and that. Okay, I was falling short here, there. I was getting this wrong. I could have probably done this better, or I didn't see it. I only saw this afterwards.
You will have to tell me that
I didn't
because
realize.
It's been 10 years, and I think we've been growing gradually. And, there was a few things that I knew that I was needy in, and I might still be needy in sometimes.
You,
what is my brother saying?
Headstrong equals difficult.
Lanive, we did not ask for comments from the peanut gallery.
Thank you. No, but that is the thing, and I was thinking about that this morning, right? And I was having a conversation. I spend a lot of time with the youth, right? Because obviously I was a youth pastor for a long time, and now I'm overseeing the current youth pastor. And so when it comes times to events, we're preparing for conference or event or something happening at church, and we're busy shooting promos, or we busy cutting pieces of paper, or we printing things for the event or whatever. I end up spending a lot of time with the youth because they come in to help. And then we spend a day together because we're busy cutting things, stapling things, doing things, to get ready for the event. And then I end up sitting with a lot of young ladies. And because I'm a lot older than they are, right? Some of them I'm friends with their parents, literally, right? I want to understand. It's my birthday on Sunday, by the way. I want to understand how they reason, what's happening in their world at their age, what's going on in their spaces. And so I asked them questions, and I actually say to them, how do you see relationships? How do you what do you look for in a guy? Or and if the gents are also there, gents, what do you think about girls? And it's come to my attention that there's a lot of hurt and brokenness in dating today, and there's a lot of these youngsters that need, bruh, if I tell you they need help, I can, like, from where I'm sitting, I can see this thing is not
But
gonna
you know
work.
what's scary is the fact that they're so young. The fact that they may be 18, some of them even 16 and 15. They're very young to be dealing with things that are so intense, that are so heavy, when really at that age you should be enjoying life. You should be experiencing, and I mean this in a positive way, in a good way. You should be experiencing, fun things, going to the movies with friends and doing things like that. Now you're rather worried about you've been hurt in a way, and a lot of these young people are sexually active, and it's sad to see that because what the world, what mainstream media portrays is that it's okay to get involved in these stuff, and at the end of the day, these young kids have to deal with stuff that they take into marriage, and that creates the realm for loneliness because they don't know how to deal with it. Now they take it into marriage, and that's where that loneliness stems from. But to go back to what you were saying just now, is there something that I can think of that I maybe dealt with over that time, or did something wrong during that period of time? I think we were both so young at it. Both of us, we did do things that didn't.
No, talk about you.
Wait. Can I finish my statement?
Don't say
You
both of us.
so scared I'm going to say something about you.
No, I don't mind you saying something about me. I'm saying
let me
point
just-
out your thing that you
But
feel you did wrong.
Can I finish my sentence at least? Really? I'm going to do that to you next time. Anyway, I lost my train of thought. You can go on. Really, Delano? We didn't ask for your commentary.
What did Delano say?
He says, lol, difficult. It doesn't mean because I knew how to speak up for myself that I was difficult. I'm just putting it out there.
And here's the thing, I was thinking, and after I had that conversation with the girls, right? And they were like speaking about their independence, and obviously what the media pushes on people now is that you have to push your own independence. It's about me. It's about how bad I can do better all by myself. I can do this, and I'm most independent all the time.
Follow your
throw
heart.
your hands up with me. All independent ladies, wow. Okay, sharp, quiet. Then when we have this conversation, and I ask, okay, what are you actually looking for? Now I need someone that can lead. I need someone that can. Oh, so you actually want a strong guy?
Okay.
Yeah.
So, let me just interject there. When it comes to independence, I don't think independence is a bad thing, but we need to define the parameters of independence. What are we speaking about when we're speaking about an independent woman, right? Innately, us as women, we are emotional beings. We have innate insecurities. There's a lot of stuff. We are emotionally. I think most of us could be emotionally unstable 90% of the time because that's how we're driven, by emotion. But I think when we speak about independence, it's about mastering that part of emotion so that you can be independent in who you are emotionally. Because the reality of the matter is we do want a man. We do want a man to provide. We do want a man to lead. And a strong woman just needs a stronger man. So that's the reality of the situation. Everything is permissible, but not everything is beneficial, right? For me, there must be boundaries because yes, we must be independent. We don't want to be codependent or dependent on somebody all the time, and you shouldn't, especially when it comes to marriage. Yes, you should complement each other and you should fill certain gaps, but you shouldn't be dependent on one another to the extent where if this person walks away, you fall apart. I mean, Miles Monroe says it, that what is this person doing with the best part of you? What is this person doing with the biggest part of who you are? This person shouldn't have that part. You should own up to who you are, but have enough to give some to somebody else. Your cup should be overflowing for the other person. And for me, it becomes a matter of when we're in the marriage, what creates, there are times where I'm in a state of being alone. then I'm sitting there and I'm like, Vas my man, where's my husband? I miss him today. And those are good romantic gestures. But it shouldn't be a matter of I am absolutely nothing when you're not around. It shouldn't be, and I think in that sphere, I think I do lack a little bit because I don't like to leave the house if Xavier's not in the car. I don't know if it's my fear of Joburg or what it is, but I'm upset if I have to drop the kids by myself or pick up the kids by myself. I'm upset if I have to go to the mall by myself. Like, but if he leaves the house, it's fine. He gets on his bike and he goes. And I think you got a little bit of...
Sometimes I want to be alone. Yeah. Because I think a lot of... Okay, say what you want to say now.
No, and I think recently you had this new thing where you send the live location, and if I don't get around to checking it, then you get upset. Then you're like, you don't even check it. It's no use I send it. What is your thought pattern behind that?
No, because you asked for it the last time, right? So you asked for the live location. So I'm thinking I'm being courteous here so my wife can see... Yeah, I saw that and we're going to talk about it now. I think I'm being courteous here so my wife can see where I am and what I'm doing, especially when I'm on the bike. Because the thing is, on the bike, you can't answer the phone at all unless I buy that headset thing that allows you to answer, right? But on the bike, I'm unable to answer. So if you know I'm on the bike and you can see I'm riding, then you can must now see the dot is moving. So you know, okay, clearly he can't answer. I can see he's moving. But also I can see where he is. Okay, he's passing this area now. Okay, he's there. And you know I'm riding from there and I'm meeting the guys at the Shell garage or wherever. Okay, he's passing there. He's almost at the Shell. Okay, there is at the Shell now. I can call. Or whatever the case might be. But then the last time I come home and I say to you, baby, I'm sending the live. No, you say to me, yeah, you must send the live. I'm like, what's the point? You don't even look at that thing. Because then I come home, I'm like, did you see where I was? I was there and there and there. I don't know where's my phone.
You know what? But you know what the interesting difference of that scenario is that I didn't call you. I didn't nag you or try to find you.
So I was trying to be proactive here. And so what was I wrong?
You weren't wrong, and I didn't shout or do anything about it. But it was more like you felt like, you're not even interested. What if something happens to me? Or like, I pray for you when you get on that bike, and I believe with all my heart you're gonna come back. So for me,
in one piece,
like, and alive and walking, and I believe that I can't give way to the possibility that you might not be there one day because you were on the bike, and it's something that you love doing. You have a family, so I pray and I plead the blood of Jesus over you all the time. So when I go about living my life.
So here's the thing, though. That is the healthy. I just wanted to get back to that other comment where we were speaking about being headstrong and being kind of wanting to be. Then I said, what did I say? You said headstrong, and I said what? Difficult. Yeah. So I was thinking as if I can give really, really a massive pro tip, right, to ladies from a guy's point of view. And this is widely known, and one of the people who really made this made this very popular is Andrew Tate, where he actually said, don't always try to be the smart aleck in the room, especially when it comes to your boyfriend, because as a man, right, and this is just a pro tip to all the women, right, as a man, you innately want to kind of show you want to show off in front of your lady most now. You must not want to show you know things. You want to show I can take you places. You want to show I'll pay. You want to be the almost now. You want to impress your lady. But the worst thing in the world that a woman can do is to say, yeah, I already knew that. Yeah, I already know this. Yeah, I already. It's irritating. It's like I want to show you a good time. But now you already knew everything and you were already at this place that I'm taking you to. And you already, it put me off. It's like, now I come there with my fancy sports car that I'm thinking I'm impressing you now. I'm coming there. Ish, maybe come and show you. Yeah, my ex used to have this car. I'm like, bruh, no, man, don't do that. Even if your ex did have a car, and this is a meme that I was laughing, not a meme, a joke that I was laughing at, where the girl gets into a guy that has the AMG, and she's like, yeah, my ex-boyfriend used to have the fake version of this. Then the guy says, what? Yeah, he used to have a B on. And then the guy realizes that yo, bro, your ex-boyfriend used to have the expensive version of this. And he says, yeah, that was the fake version. He only had the Benz. I have the Mercedes Benz. In the meantime, homie had a Brabus, which was the expensive version. But the point is that the gent wanted to feel quime and to show his fro. And now she gets in and says, yeah, my ex-boyfriend had a Brabus. It's 10 times more expensive than your normal AMG. It's like, okay, so what must happen now? Are you trying to make me feel like a clinky or what?
No, I think half of the time that stems from ignorance, and the other half is more a matter of your own insecurity. Because I think innately women have a thing with we do compete. We want the next best thing. I think it's human, not just women. I think men as well. Like you were speaking to the ego, like your ego in terms of you want to impress, so don't put me off. But it comes to that point where you're like, yeah, do better. Do better because he did this so why don't you go back to your ex then? I mean, if that's the case.
But not only just that, it's more so, and I want us to jump into some of the comments. I don't know if you have Insights comments open in front of you. I see Tulo there, I see Kanisha there, I see Bucci Man. But I'm gonna read your comments in a second.
I don't have all those comments.
But it's not always about the fact. It's more so that that one friend that nobody likes, because if you say, me and my husband he took me to Dubai for our honeymoon. Yeah, my husband took me to Dubai and to Kuala Lumpur and to Singapore and to the... Okay, bruh. Yours must now be bigger. It's like... And nobody likes that person. Everyone's like, oh, hey, bruh, I don't even want to mention this because the son is now... Want to now say he went. If I say I have 100, now he have 1,000. And 500 and 500,000, he must always be better and bigger, or hers must always be better. And people, that is like a off-putting thing to normal human beings. So imagine that as your guy wants to impress you, wants to show you something quite, and now you come and say, yeah, I already know this, or I already saw this. It's like, the best thing to do is, even if, and that's what I was saying earlier, even if you do know it, even if your ex was driving a Bentley, and I come there and fetch you with my tears, bruh, you with me now. My taste is nicer than that Bentley. you must just make me feel like to say, yo, baby, your car is nice and clean today. Even knowing that, if also just wants to know, I come from Bentley status here, bro, Rolls Royce status, and I'm now downgraded to him. But you don't have to make him feel like he's a downgrade. You know what I'm saying? Even if he is a downgrade in that area.
No, but this is the part where it comes to you as a woman knowing what you want and why you want. When you're with somebody, whatever their possessions are, anything can happen tomorrow. You can be in an accident and the car's gone. Someone can come steal the car. I mean, we live in Joburg. Or
someone keeps a robot.
Yeah. So now you don't have money to fix the car. Or you lose your job or something. Anything can happen. And if that car is the defining, or the material aspect of that relationship is the defining aspect of the relationship, believe you me, it's not going to last very long. Because then you're constantly going to want to chase. Because there's always, next year there's another BM. Or another mug. Next year there's a bigger house. Next year the design changes. I mean, the other day we were looking at houses and stuff like that, and just the architecture and the differences in architecture. And the differences in architecture, where the Tuscan vibe was like a thing back in the day, and then like all the houses were that. Now it's something different. Now it's got that very industrial looking type of way, right? So everything changes. The world is ever changing. So if you are going to define your relationship on something that is very materialistic, believe you me, tomorrow it's not going to be that thing. You're going to constantly chase after it. You're constantly going to need money. I know of a relationship that they were married for like 10 or 15 years, but he constantly had to supply. He constantly had to come up with money. And the minute he was bankrupt, the minute this man didn't have anything, his wife left him for another man.
That's untidy.
So and as men, you also need to realize, yes, you need to provide. Yes, you need to spoil your queen. That's true. But it must be from a point of where it's not a need. You know she can hold her own, but you want to do that. Yeah,
you want to do it. I want to read Bucci Man saying our fam, and then Kanisha is saying good morning, and then Tulo is saying good morning, everyone. I don't like going to the mall with my husband. I don't like going to the mall with my wife. I would prefer if she goes on her own, seriously. But, what? Why do you look so confused and so worried? But back to the original point, right? Is that when you want, and back to my opening monologue over there, is that I had to figure out who I am as an individual, my hopes and my dreams, my goals and my aspirations for myself, so that when I join with you, I know who I am in and of myself. And one thing I can say is that in the beginning, when we first got married, I wanted you also to know who you are. I also wanted you to have kind of your own hopes and dreams. I also wanted you to have your own thing that you wanted to do. If you wanted to do whatever you decided wanted to do, go and do it and enjoy yourself and do what you do, boo. Even if it's a matter of even if it gets to the point where I'm supplying it financially, even if, let's just say, for example, you selling your clothes and I'm giving you the money to go buy stock, or I'm renting a space for you to use as a shop, or whatever the case might be. I'll support your dream, but have your own dream. Yes, in the marriage, you are my wife, and in the marriage you support me as well, and in the marriage you uplift me and you hold up my hands and you do all the wifely duties that you feel that you want to do. But also as an individual person, do your own thing. Have your own friends. If you decide you're going for coffee with some of your friends, go and have coffee with some of your friends. If you decide you want to go and do something, go and do it. I'm not going to be the person that psycho person that wants to know the whole time where you are and what you're doing and who you with and
back?
who's that
Who you
and
leaving
what
with?
message is that.
I see you
and
here, but why
why
are
is
you
your
so
phone
long?
upside down, and who did you speak to this week, and this and that, and why did that guy look at you? If all else, I like it when the Owens look at my wife, because for me it's like a feather in my cap. Like, okay, my wife is good looking, brother. Gents are like, oh, bro, who's that? And that makes me feel like,
but
okay, at least I have a sexy wife.
but
Because if no one's looking and I'm like, ish.
but explain.
This one is not make sure.
Explain that in context, though. Explain that in context. It's not a matter of the person's being slimy or whatever, but more like a complimentary look.
Yes,
So,
a complimentary look, but the point is that you're attractive. So a
thank you, baby.
normal man can see when a woman is attractive. And if a man thinks a woman is attractive, that means she's attractive. What I never could understand is the gents that gets baby, what's making so? What I could never understand is the gents that want to fight the other gent, or wants to now turn it
claim
into a whole
territory.
thing here to, I don't know, to show what. But to me, if we're talking about insecurities and we're talking about not being whole and we're talking about this is why you're feeling lonely in the marriage, that to me is a massive insecurity. If we now at the event and someone looks at you and now I want to go fight
I'm
the
sorry,
old...
but that isn't sexy. That isn't nice. Because what you can't be, that just speaks controlling, jealousy. It speaks of problems in the in the future. That's what that tells me. That's the projection I get from that. I mean, I've been in relationships where, the person, I don't like that you're wearing, it's too tight. Or I don't like when you speak to this type of person. For me, that speaks of major insecurities. So I'm the type of person, and you know that I've never told you can't speak to this one or you can't speak to that one. We do have our boundaries. We do know what is inappropriate. I mean, those things should be in place. Like, I don't have you speaking to people or not girlfriends, but friends, or people that you work with in church circles late at night at 11 o'clock. You guys are having a discussion. Those things are inappropriate. If you guys work together or you guys are speaking about let's say church things that do happen after hours, there is a certain time frame that is appropriate for. So yes, there's those things, and I won't tell you can't have this friend, you can't have that. I'll warn you. I'll say, oh, watch out for this one. And it's more a matter of a warning from the side to tell you, wait, this is for you, to protect you. You might not have intention, you might not think things, but you never know the intention of the other person. And because of the circles that we work in, it's always important for me to watch out for my husband and make sure that he's protected at all times. And likewise, the same from his side. But there's never a time when I can say, when I have my phone all the time, I've got friends, I've got guy friends and whatever, but they friends with him. So if they can't get a hold of him or whatever, they will text on my phone, but it will never be I have to hide this text message, or Xavier can't see this text message, or this is inappropriate. Something will always be work related, or it will be a friend that might be looking for something that includes both me and Xavier. So I think that those boundaries must be in place when it comes to marriages, but we shouldn't be overbearing and want to control every situation. Yeah, why is he calling you? He has my number. Why can't he speak to me? I'm the man of this house. Yes, you are the man of this house, and it's my duty as a wife to make you feel like the man of this house, not somebody else.
Now you're right, 100%. But here's the thing, right? So, do you feel like there's read it?
So okay, let's first backtrack before I read that last comment. Okay, let's read the last comment and then we can go into the backtracking one. The watcher says these days the gents are after the husbands now.
Hey, bro, big facts.
Yeah, we have to look both ways as women now.
Big facts, bro.
We're not safe. And then Lanif says that I need a man who can handle me equals problems.
Now that's facts also.
It is true. You know why? That's an easy scapegoat for women to sort of to justify.
I'm strong.
their
I'm
flaws.
independent. You must be able to.
That's not strong.
Relax.
That's not independent.
Relax.
That's just toxic.
Relax.
So here's the thing: innately, God has designed a relationship and woman meant to be the head of the home and to give direction, not oppress, not dominate, not control, but to guide the household. And likewise, we have to be submissive towards that. But it doesn't mean that we must be quiet and we don't have a say in the house. What it means is that our husbands must also be kind and courteous to us, our feelings, be cognizant of the fact that we are human, we feel some sort of way, and we are also implicated in this. So let's have a conversation and a discussion of this. So we are considerate of one another. That is what the word says about marriage. And get this, if you grieve your wife, you need to be considerate of your wife and make sure that your wife feels loved and is considered in the marriage as well. But if you do not, your prayers will be hindered.
But here's the other thing, and this is a pro tip for the gents, right? So, gents, here's a pro tip for you. A good leader is easy to follow, right? So, if you are leading your home and you're doing a good job at it, your wife will most likely find it easier to follow you because you're doing the right thing. You're making it easy for her to say, my husband's got this. He knows what he's doing. He's got us on lock. I trust his decisions. So far, all his decisions has brought us further. So far, when he tells us, let's move to this and that, we move and it works. So far, his financial decisions has brought us here. So far, the decision to put the kids in this school has brought us here. So I trust him. I trust his decision-making process. I trust him as an individual. So it works the same in your house. It works the same in your business. It works the same in a relationship with friends. It works the same across the board. A friend of mine, I had him as a guest on my show, on our Monday show, and he said something that I remember now forever, that still sticks to me. The way you do one thing is the way you do everything. So if you operate like this in this area, I'm going to assume that that's how you deal with things at home. That's how you deal with things. So if you're sloppy and you're late and you don't care and you this, I'm going to assume that for me, this is just judgment on my part. This is my honest judgment on my part as an individual. If I come outside and I see a guy's car, this bumper is dented, that door is scratched, the roof line is hanging, the seat is torn. In my mind, I automatically judge you. And I assume naturally that this is what your room looks like. This is what your inbox looks like. This is how you deal with relationships. This is how you deal with friendships. Because, how you do one thing is I'm assuming that you do this all over. And the other day we were speaking about people, the correlation between people who are painstakingly neat and the fact that they become successful in what they do. Because it correlates. It's like, I want my things
They
to align.
execute with
I want
excellence.
execute with excellence. I want to do things properly.
But having said that, living with someone
It could
who
be
is
the opposite. I'm just saying that's my.
yeah, but
That's
having
my.
said that, living with someone who is OCD in literally every sphere, yes, they do become successful, but at what cost? There must be balance, because I can tell you, when you have a leader in the house, it is incredibly difficult. And if you have someone who is extremely OCD, it's even worse. It could be a blessing if you guys know how to navigate it to balance out each other. But if you don't know, and the person is dominant and the person is just OCD, which in some spheres could be good, but it could be detrimental in others.
So how do you ensure that you as an individual comes to the party whole as well? There's some things I think you in your personal life where you know is missing. I'm going to give you some of the obvious ones. Grew up in a single home, right? Those are some of the obvious ones. You might have been molested or abused at a young age. Obvious one. I'm talking about the obvious ones that you know. This thing I need to iron out because it might bother me in my marriage, right? Previous hurt from whichever different relationship you have come from before, right? Difficult relationship with either parent, right? Or a strange relationship with either parent. When I speak to people, and we've counseled multiple couples, and as I say, I work in this space with these people and this environment, and I have intellectual conversations with a lot of people. When I speak to them, I quickly pick up that this could potentially hinder you moving forward, right? So I had a conversation with a young lady not so long ago, and I asked her, what's your relationship like with your father? And she said, not very good. I said, how do you feel that might affect you when you get married? She said, I don't know, but I think about it a lot, and I'm hoping it doesn't affect me. So what am I saying? I'm saying, okay, if you know that this thing is going to hinder you moving forward, and you want the best case scenario for your marriage, there's some things that are out of your control. If you were molested, that's completely out of your control. If you were abused in that area, that's completely out of your control. If your father walked out on you, that's completely out of your control. If your mother abused you, that's completely out. There's certain things that are completely out of your control, but it affects you moving forward. And what I would then suggest is that you find healing in those areas before you decide to put yourself into a serious, permanent situation where, because the truth of the matter is, this year we married for 10 years, it's going to lift its head in your marriage. It's going to pop up again. And Miles Monroe said it, and we always said it, even before I heard him saying it, that marriage doesn't make things go away. Marriage amplifies things. So if you're coming in here with your insecurities, you're coming in here with your doubts and hurts and pains and all the things that you're dealing with, you are going to amplify it. And that's a one-way ticket to divorce. That's a one-way ticket to divorce. The best thing to do is to try and iron out majority of those things before you get into marriage. Try and iron out a lot of those things. Some of it doesn't go away completely. But then be mindful of, this thing bothers me and I know it's something I need to work on. Let me work on it consciously.
Because remember, marriage is difficult within itself, like with no baggage and all of that. But you need to be whole when you come into this marriage. And if you come into this marriage being a needy person, or you just insecure, you're just a lonely person because you constantly needed to be pat and pie, that's a burden to me. That I can't, and especially when there's kids in the equation, we both need to parent these kids. These kids are needy. They didn't ask to be, so it's our responsibility as a parent to supply to their needs. But now I must supply to your needs as well, and my children, when we supposed to be handling this thing together, but I must carry you too. It becomes so incredibly difficult and stressful. And this is why, a lot of couples that do end up in divorce court, they do say, I still love you. I still love this person. I just can't be in this person's house anymore. I just can't deal with A, B, and C anymore. But I do love this person. Love is not enough to cover those insecurities. You as a person needs to deal with it. I can't deal with it deal with it for you.
And marriage is not going to solve it. And I think also, just to add on to what you're saying there, is that exactly that. You have to But that's the point. What you're saying is that I have to acknowledge my faults. That's what I'm saying. Be honest with yourself. Say, okay, yeah, I know this is where I'm flopping. I know I could have done this better. Like in my opening monologue, I said, I knew I was the cause of a lot of the reason why things didn't pan out. Because I knew I had my own shortcomings, right? There's a conversation that I want to have, and maybe we can have it in the weeks to come, about the pornography addiction. Because this is a massive one as to why gents are struggling to figure out why things are not working. Are struggling to figure out why I'm not finding my wife attractive. Why am I doing this? Why is my mind like this? Why am I struggling with this? Why this? Why that? And we have to get into that because statistics show that over 80% of men struggle with porn addiction. And that's a massive contributing factor to why marriages end up not playing out the way you want them to play out. And then that causes loneliness, it causes rejection, it causes all sorts of
and the adverse
effects.
On your wife, on your spouse. I mean, when you eradicate certain things and the changes that takes place. But that's a topic for another day. We'll discuss that one. But coming back into our topic for today.
Look, that's a part of
the topic.
That the reason why you're not whole.
You're not whole. But it's imperative that you do deal with certain things, because the reality of the matter is that when you come into a marriage, yes, there are certain things that, you do want to miss your wife, or you do want your wife to miss you, or you do want your husband to miss you. That those are natural romantic things, but it mustn't be to the extreme where you feel you're completely lost without this person, that you can't function without this person. Now we become controlling and domineering. Now we want to dictate to them what they need to do next, where they're going, why are they doing this, and the next decision, why did you say this, why didn't you say that? Then you suffocate this person, and you don't allow this person to be who they truly are, and people end up leaving their marriages. Marriage is not supposed to be endured. It's supposed to be enjoyed. You need to enjoy each other. Yes, there are going to be difficult times. I'm not saying you're not going to argue when that's the case. You are going to argue. You are going to be indifferent to one another. There are going to be situations where you're going to have to build on one another and deal with certain issues together. But there are certain innate and core issues that you first need to deal with, because when the person doesn't supply to those needs, now you blame the person that you are lonely for being lonely. Now you blame the person because they don't fulfill something. And get this, if you are two broken people and two people with insecurities, then you have a recipe for disaster.
Just check that last comment there and then maybe just answer it.
Guys, the topic married but lonely, what is the reason for it? Because marriage is what?
Probably the job.
I don't know. I don't understand the question. Guys, the topic married but lonely, what is the reason for the cause for it? Because marriage
I think he's trying to make sense of the point of why we're saying you're lonely in a marriage.
It's very possible to be lonely in a marriage. Being married...
I don't know if we completely answered that question.
Yeah, because
being lonely.
Being lonely... being married doesn't necessarily mean that you're not lonely. Have you ever been in a room full of people but you still feel lonely? I think a lot of people who suffer from depression have that sentiment, that they're surrounded by people constantly but they're lonely. The same thing happens in marriage. If this person isn't answering the call to your needs, then you will feel lonely. You'll feel something is missing. You often hear people say, yeah, but he doesn't understand me, or she doesn't understand me. She doesn't make me feel the way that you make me feel. This is now pertaining to people who end up getting in extramarital affairs, getting caught up in that. Then they have these sentiments of, but they're not speaking to me. They're not making me feel a certain way. But that ends up making you feel lonely. You are with somebody, but you don't feel like you are complete in a sense.
I think the point is that to answer the question, I guess, at the end of the day, is that we were focusing a lot during the session on your individual shortcomings, yes. Right? And if you come into something with your own shortcomings, and I guess to kind of round it off, is that you must come to the marriage with you and with what you bring to the table in a positive light as well. not just in all the negative things. I'm depressed, I have this issues, I have mommy issues, daddy issues, I have this, I have that, whatever the case might be. Now you come in with all that baggage to the table. You must also come to the table with the positive aspects of who you are as well. And that person must also try and work on all their negative aspects. And as we said earlier, it doesn't always go away. Sometimes it still kind of floats there, but you obviously find a way to deal with it. But come into the marriage with your being as whole as you possibly can be, and then you come into the marriage being as whole as you possibly can be, and allow the marriage to work together. Because if you coming in broken and you expecting and anticipating that the marriage is going to fix your brokenness, you're going to be in for a rough ride, because the marriage is not going to solve it. It's going to amplify it, and it's just going to end up in you saying that, this is not working, I don't want to do this anymore, I'm out. Because two broken people came in, and now you're complaining you're lonely, I don't want to be home, we're fighting all the time, we misunderstanding one another, does that and the other. It's because of that their brokenness, I guess, is the point we're making.
Is the point that we are making, and that causes loneliness, because you feel like your needs are not being met. And now if you are two broken people, both of you have needs, and no one is listening to no one, because we are too caught up with our own needs. And I think in today's popular culture is that, you need to sort out yourself, you need to first look to yourself and your own needs and all of that. And now it's no one is hearing anybody, because you just focus on what you need and what you want. And I think when we started out, when we actually premiered the first episode of the show, was that right? I don't know if those were the right words, but yeah. We did come up by saying that most marriages fail because of the element of selfishness. We put our own needs before the needs of our spouse. But if we put our spouse's needs before us constantly, we will then be answering to each other. We will be then looking after each other. We'll be then building up each other. But that is said with red tape. And the reason why I say that doesn't mean I must come with all my baggage and you now need to deal with it. You also have the main and sole responsibility to make sure that you are working on yourself, that you are self-aware, that you are aware of the insecurities, needs. And like Xavier said, that there are major ones that are obvious, but there are other things that are not as obvious. I mean, as women, we have what is our need for love and touch and being heard emotionally constantly. And now you feel, but you're not listening to me, but it's about me, and I feel like you must answer to my need. I don't like to be alone. I don't like to be on my own. Why aren't you here? We've got kids that we have to go get together. Why don't you cook with me? Just stand here with me in the kitchen while I'm doing this. Yes, there are certain things that you have to do to complement each other, and yes, it is romantic when he does stand in the kitchen and help you out and all the time. But this mustn't be the be all and end all when he doesn't do it. There must be a balance. Yes, he must answer to the call, but also it mustn't be a demand from you to answer that call.
Perfect. Ladies and gentlemen, I guess that is our time. I don't know unless you wanted to throw anything else in there.
No, I think I'm done. I've said my sins.
So thank you so much again for watching this. Usually we go live on both platforms, but if you are watching from Living With My Ex, thank you for showing love over there. Also, please do subscribe, and also just hit the like button. It just helps the algorithm grow, helps it move, and also just helps us get the message out there. My idea and my aim is actually to cut a bunch of shorts as well, just to cut out some of the nuggets that we drop or that happens during the show, even from last week's shows, the previous shows. All that kind of thing. So thank you so much for showing your love and support. Thank you for everyone that jumped in on the comments. It's always a pleasure to see you over there. I don't know, closing remarks on your end or nothing? Or?
Well, I don't really have closing remarks. Just remember to be kind to one another. Put your spouse before you. I think it will change the dynamic of your situation and be more understanding towards one another. We are all going through stuff, and we handle our emotions differently. And on that note, I just want to say, if there's something that you would like us to discuss on this platform, if you would like us to and we won't mention names, it could be anonymous, send us a message, drop us an inbox, and then we will delve into the topic.
Cool, guys. Thank you so much for jumping in today. See you on the next one. I love you. Goodbye.
Bye.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to a brand new show.
Xavier used to be my boyfriend, then my fiance, and then my husband, so he's my ex-boyfriend.
We decided that we needed to spice this up.